All right, made it back. This is my absolutely cooked look. Did woke up supposed to wake up at 5 o'clock this morning and go fishing. Took with my buddy who owns Trophy Hunter Charters. His boat's out of commission right now for a little bit longer. It was his first day out for the year, and I guess my second time out. And if I didn't wake up at 2:30 in the morning, couldn't fall asleep again. Don't you hate that? And then it turned into 3:30 and then 4 o'clock. And I'm looking at, I glanced at my clock. I'm like, oh my God, 1 hour if the alarm goes off. And next thing you know, the alarm goes off. So I've been up since 2:30 in the morning. And then we fished. I think we caught a dozen fish, and I put a GoPro on the back of the boat to catch all the action, show you guys the views. Well, the GoPro is angled down, so all you see is us in the back of the boat. That kind of sucks. I was going to let that play just to watch while I shared a bunch of voices. But I can show you a couple as I'm babbling here anyway for the hell of it. Nothing too exciting, just us catching fish. And what else? I threw the 360 camera down to the bottom of the ocean, and if 4 or 5 salmon didn't go up to the frickin' camera on their own, and a fly just landed on the lens of my camera. You've got to be kidding me. It's one of those days, I'll tell you. Get out of there. Where was I? Yeah, threw the camera down, got a bunch of content, some video down there, just ironing it out. What else? I tried to do the live, apparently it froze up, and I think I know why. If I spin that Starlink satellite on the compass real quick, I think it has to correct itself, and it probably what happened when I started steering the boat around the shoreline live. And when I take all of you fishing next week, probably, the boat will be stationary, so it should stream live smoothly. So that was kind of unfortunate because I thought everybody was following me right along. I took everybody for a big tour of the shoreline there and held the laptop, filmed with the laptop. But anyways, got that done. Now, where am I? I forgot to draw our Friday winner for the next trail camera recipient. So I'm going to do that right now. Sorry about that. Sarah had the winner. Are you ready? Here we go. The next winner of the Guard Pro solar panel. Oh, it's a solar panel too. I got a whole box in there. You get the camera. You got it. The camera and the solar panel, right? Is going to go to a member of the channel who has generously been assisting in feeding those little munchkins' tummies. And Dave Ryan at 1974, you are the next winner of the Guard Pro Trail Camera. Congratulations, Dave Ryan. Now, Dave Ryan, my man, all you got to do is email me at sharemystory@howtohunt.com and email me your original thumbnail photo to show me it's you, all right, in that email, and give me your mailing address. The sucker's going out the door to you. I'm not sure if the postal strike's over yet or not. I don't know, but it's not going to stop us from drawing and you winning. All right? Way to go, my man. Lucky day. That's a huge thank you from those children to you, all right? Huge thank you. What else do I got? got a little bit of comedy. Sarah doesn't think so much comedy, but oh my God, you know what I did the other day? I got to share this with you guys. I did an oil change in my pickup, and you know, all of you who do your own oil changes, I got one of those oil catch pans, right, with the nozzle out of it to dump it out after. And it filled up, and I had a purpose for that oil, and I put it off to the side, outside in the shed, on top of some prawn traps beside the other boat. And Sarah phoned yesterday and said, "You're not going to believe what happened." I'm like, "What?" "I don't know what the cat got into, but..." And I just saw the devastation when I just came home here in this last hour. That cat jumped up, I guess, and thought it was jumping on top of the prawn traps. Jumped into the used oil bucket. There's a huge oil splash all over the boat, and then the cat went apeshit, I guess, ran out up the driveway to the house, over top of Sarah's white car, onto the deck furniture cushions, all down the deck, into the house, across the couch, the pillows, and downstairs onto the daughter's bed and beige blanket. And I haven't seen the cat yet, but apparently the cat is now half motor oil color. Used motor oil. Whoopsies. Whoopsie berries. Guilty, sort of. I couldn't help but laugh. It was kind of fun, you gotta admit. If you were there, it's one of those you had to have been there, right? You had to have been there moments. Anyway. Let's hear some voices, shall we? Where did I even leave off? I don't know. I'm so frickin' cross-eyed, but I had to do this, and I had to get the winner announced. And get some voices heard. I got some fresh out of the pan ones. There's another scare I had. I looked in the inbox, and usually all my emails get, I don't know how many emails a day, and I'm looking in there, nothing. I'm like, oh wow, no emails. When I was on the boat. And I started checking all the emails, and none of the emails had received any mail since last Wednesday or something. I'm like, oh my God, that's not good. There's a lot tied into my domain name, right? And it took me a while, but I figured it out. And I got it taken care of. I guess there was some renew bill that wasn't getting paid, and they were emailing me to an email I hadn't used for centuries. And anyway, got to figure it out. Thank God. So your emails are all coming through, and I opened it up this morning and was pounded with a whole pile of emails. There's no way I could have went through them all yet, but anyway. Enough of this babbling, right? What do we have here? All right, who do we got? What do we got? More voices. Oh, another quick mention. I posted up on the post portion of the channel. A few of my friends from British Columbia kept on texting me screenshots of some Facebook posts of somebody had seen something run across the highway in British Columbia the other day. And they posted it up on their local community page on Facebook, I guess. So they screenshotted and sent it to me, and I put it into the comments. I posted up on the post portion of this channel for you guys to see. I didn't really look at it too close myself, but I shared it with you guys. There we go. That's all I got, I think. I'm reading. I am reading. Something following me is being emailed to us. Hi, Steve. I've been watching your YouTube channel for quite some time now and decided to share this with you. I never actually saw a Bigfoot, but I believe there was at least one around for a time near my home. I was a country girl living in western New York, not far from the Pennsylvania border, where there is a lot of woods and very hilly. And I'd say it was around 1975 of these occurrences. My family owned a small dairy farm, and I was about 16 when some strange things began happening. 2 different times we found one of our cows dead in the pasture. It was never clear how each one died. The first one appeared to have no wounds, except her bag was completely eaten off. We figured it died of natural causes, and some small predator was an opportunist, getting a free and easy meal. The second was a bit more strange. Actually, I never found out the condition of the second cow. Perhaps my father purposely kept that from me. Anyway, That morning, when my brother herded the cattle down the lane and over the hill, where they went every day, they all congregated at this dead cow, forming a ring around it, and our only bull was in the center, with the carcass lifting his head and bellowing loudly. It was bizarre. Again, a concrete explanation was never determined and soon forgotten. After that, I had an encounter with something in the woods one afternoon. And as I said earlier, we would send the cows out to open graze over the hill. We had about 125 acres of woods, creeks, and open meadows for them to roam. And sometimes they would not come back in time on their own to be milked, so I would get on my horse, find and herd them back to the barn. And that afternoon, I rode down the hill in between the two wooded hillsides where a creek ran through, and I always stopped to water my horse there. And all of a sudden, my horse's head flew up from the water, looked into the woods, then shot out of there, racing for the field on the side of the hill. And I'm riding bareback, trying to hang on. He was running so fast, and I was pulling so hard on the reins that they actually ripped right off the bridle. Leather reins, mind you, and I fell off. He stopped, and I quickly got back up. No way, lucky. Actually, Macaroni would do that for me. He's done it for me, too. Now, I'm afraid of what scared him so much, and I can't just get back on him. I managed to temporarily tie the broken reins back onto his bridle while watching the woods and creek where we just came from. And let me tell you, that was one of the scariest moments in my life. Getting that bridle put back together and only a short distance from those woods. He started to calm down, which in turn helped me to calm down. And now I had to go along that same woods, sort of, between two hillsides to get to the next field where I might find the cows. And as we're walking, too much brush and trees to run through, my horse would jerk his head nervously toward the woods, acting very spooked. It's not too dark to see into the thick woods, but something was obviously following along with us, just inside the tree line out of sight. It was about a 10-minute walk, and my horse continued to be very nervous, looking over to the woods. When we got to the next pasture, I stopped and let my horse calm down, which he did. He started eating some grass when, again, his head flew up and he took off. This time I was prepared and all for getting away from there. To my dismay, the cows weren't in that pasture either, which meant I had to go further up, over a hill of trees, to one last field at the top. If I didn't find them there, I had to come back down that hill to go along those same woods where this thing was. I was so afraid that whatever it was going to be in those trees on the hillside on my way back down. And sure enough, the cows weren't there. But luckily, we did not encounter anything coming back down that hill. My brain and senses were on such a high alert, so intense, we eventually find the cows past that field and in the front part of those same woods closer to the barn. We basically did a full circle and I got them back home. Again, Bigfoot never entered my mind back then, and maybe it was a bear, very rare back then, or a bobcat, or even a dog or person. I don't think that we had coyotes back then, as there are now. I didn't smell or hear anything, but there was something there, watching and following us. The last thing to report, and I believe was around the same time frame, was a scream in the night. Sometimes my brother would be out partying with his friends and come home, sit in his truck and listen to music before coming inside. It was about midnight, and I stepped out on our back porch to see if he was home, and he wasn't. It was a clear, crisp night, no wind, no sound, and all of a sudden, I hear this loud scream come from the hillside on the other side of the valley, where I had my scare. However, way at the top, it sounded like a woman being murdered. It stopped, then it did it again. My adrenaline just skyrocketed. I could feel my heart beat in my ears. I just stood there frozen. I waited for a couple of minutes, but it never made another sound. Until recently, I thought that it may have been a mountain lion, although supposedly there aren't any around these parts. Maybe it was. I've done some reading about Bigfoot and saw some correlation. I moved away a couple of years later, and my family has since sold the land. Anyway, that's my experience. Although I never actually saw whatever it was in those woods that day, I can't seem to shake how it made me feel and what could have happened. I still love the outdoors, and when I go out to any woods, my senses are on high alert. Not easy to relax and just enjoy as easily. Keep up the good work, Steve. We know it's a lot. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Kathy Eaton. Kathy, appreciate you. I'm glad you sent that in. And if I didn't read this in the past, I'm sorry. It took so long to get it, but we got it. I don't remember reading it. I have a whole bunch that I found in my inboxes marked as unread. A lot. And you know what it was. You know what it was. What do we got here? Here we go. Mark this as read. Interaction and cloaking is the title of this email. Hi, Steve and Sarah. I love your YouTube channel, and here is my story worth sharing. Between 2006 and 2016, we lived in an area of high strangeness in the middle of the Midwest Plains. Reed Cornfield Central. Every year we found basketball-sized wads of electric fence wire and hay baling twine scattered around our 100-acre farm, and we used neither. In 2017, we discovered we lived in a habituation zone, which explained, among other things, my dog being killed, one side of his face smashed in, the 40-pound beaver buried in one of our compost piles. We live 10 miles from the river. The house slaps, hearing people talking near our house, hearing motors running in our woods, finding strange pieces of wood, feathers, trash at our front door and chicken house, strange structures in our shelter beds, our horses' manes braided or cut completely off, the 50 pounds of sheep feed randomly missing from the barrels overnight, the constant discovery of cat skulls. Really, cat skulls. No skeletons around the farm and lots of whistles, bird calls, owls, even howls, etc. They were also nights you just did not go outside. The sense of danger of the presence was overwhelming. And one night, I escaped the barn by pleading the blood of Jesus over myself after seeing a large, dark demon with glowing eyes looking down at me from the hayloft. We found a 12-foot sapling up there later. What? No idea how they even managed to get it up there. I really thought we had a demon around. I cannot imagine Sasquatch in flat open country, let alone a family of them, but eventually they began to leave footprints. From 6 inches to 19 inches in length. And almost as soon as they began to show themselves to my husband and I, black helicopters began to fly over, almost daily, at treetop level. Quote, linemen, end quote, showed up wanting access to the fields. And late one night, 6 men on 4-wheelers using no headlights removed something large out of the field next to ours, right against our fence line. It looked as large as a cow. And as we drove to that field's gate to see what was happening, they drove off without lights at a dangerous speed in the opposite direction. We could just see their tail lights. Our neighbor had no knowledge of visitors and no cattle in the field at that time. And overnight, our Sasquatch clan disappeared. Alarming and very interesting. I interacted with a juvenile twice and also stumbled upon a group feasting in one of our fields at twilight. The sound of crunching bones and slurping did me in. But the next morning, there was a silver dollar-sized bone, trampled grass, and no other sign they had been there. A silver dollar-sized bone, trampled grass, and no other sign they had been there. And I was gifted a piece of wood, sanded smooth, which resembled my horse, a carving, in a chunk of natural chalk of a woodpecker I used to mimic and interact with a nesting pair, and a tiny baby goat that showed up one morning. Umbilical cord still wet. after I told my mother during a phone call that I really missed my goats. That was a strange, I'm going to be late call into work, I can tell you. I've seen glowing eyes watching me through the windows in my bathroom and living room. I found a deer skull 40 feet up in one of our trees and multiple tools they constructed and used. It was incredible. I had to keep a diary to keep up with it all. And during this year and a half of living aware of them, we did not attempt to engage them or feed them. We let them be, and they did the same except for this juvenile. We think his grandmother mind spoke to my daughter one time only, that her name was Oma, and she was raising a baby the same age as my granddaughter, and that she would not harm us, and requested that we not harm them. We think the men on the four-wheelers took her. I just suddenly had this impression that it was her between the two four-wheelers. No idea why I think that, but I felt her watching me, helpless, as they sped away. It was a terrible feeling. When winter came that season, my old sheepdog seemed to have an interest in the barn and the woods around it. I think it was her grandson, based in a single footprint find, and the way my dog's tail would go wagging when he was near. He hung out at our place for 2 years after she disappeared. My husband and I both saw him running, with a coyote pup trailing behind a few times. That first winter we had a terrible ice storm. I found fresh sign of him and his pup, and took a large beef heart and some fish out to that area and placed it high in a tree. When I got back to my house, I heard the loudest wood knock I've ever experienced coming from the area where I left the food. He was roughly 6 feet tall the last time I saw him, and he would have been around age 5, if he was the same age as our granddaughter. That last night, I was in our RV, windows open, typing on my laptop. I had had bad insomnia and often worked through the night, and as I was typing, it suddenly dawned on me that I'd been hearing an echo of the typing for the past hour. I kept typing with one ear to the window, and sure enough, every time I stopped, there were several more typing clicks before it stopped. I finally stopped and asked him, "Are you mimicking me?" "That's amazingly accurate. Great job." It clicked back at me several times in response, and I laughed. I continued my typing, and the clicking sound resumed. But raced to the barn and then raced back to the RV door. They have incredible speed, and he was running 150 feet and back in 3 to 4 seconds. Finally, my dog realized he was out there, and she angrily barked from the house but would not advance. I peeked out the curtain and saw him standing behind a tree limb next to my granddaughter's tire swing. His head skimmed the branch 6 feet up, and I could see his silhouette from the yard light, and his hair was wild and all over the place on his head. He swayed back and forth and watched me, and he was thin and tall. And even though I knew he was a child and my dog had experience with him, there always seemed to be this primal fear of them that comes upon you. My dog felt it, and I felt it. I told him it was time for me to go, and that I was turning on my flashlight now, and he fled instantly. As soon as he did, my dog ran to the RV and frantically climbed in. And 2 things. You don't need guns. You need light to protect yourself from them. They understand your intent, and a light is enough. They are people. I personally believe they are the cursed people from the Book of Enoch. They were a part of the Tower of Babel story. This group worshipped idols, and the Book of Enoch says that they were wanted to ascend the tower and set up their idols in heaven. God turned them as apes and elephants. I guess the idols they were worshipping. Elephants have infrasound. Females, 6 to 9 feet tall. Bulls, 8 to 12 feet tall. Large, padded, flat feet that protect them from ice. Elephants have infrasound. Females, 6 to 9 feet tall. Bulls, 8 to 12 feet tall. Large, padded, flat feet that protect from ice. I hope you're not talking about the elephants with the ice. and geographical photographic memories. Apes are family-oriented, grazers, tree dwellers, nest builders, hairy, use tools, curious, have sentries. Like yogis who can levitate and manipulate rock, like Jesus who disappeared through crowds, these beings can harness powers we have lost the knowledge of. Jesus told us we could and would do these things, those things. Remember, he calmed storms, transfigured before people, walked through walls, turned water into wine, and healed people. I think Sasquatch just understands and operates on this level. I have seen our juvenile cloaked. He mirrored his surroundings like a chrome hubcap. He ran right by me as I was frantically attempting to pull a breech calf. I heard the thumps running to me, and I thought it was my vet. And all I could see was his outline, but I could clearly see the grass reflecting off of his mirrored image, up his feet and legs, and he ran 8 feet from me and kept on going. It's just camouflage. I think the primal fear is the fear of God on them because of the curse. I think he has forbidden them to interact with us, but they are drawn to what they once were. Just my opinion. I thank Steve for your channel and for being a safe place, a safe base. Thank you, Sarah, for backup. So sorry about Mr. Mac. Had to do the same for one of mine. The grief is real, Tammy. There you go, Tammy. Appreciate that email. It was marked as unread in my inbox, so I have to read it. It may have been read way back in the day. I don't know. I hope not. But we got to share it either way. I appreciate that. All right. I'm going to read one more, you guys, because I'm fading. I am so fading. Being awake since 2:30, then fishing for 7 hours, and then driving home for a couple hours. I'm done, but I had to get that trail camera out and felt like I got caught up. So I'll read one more. This is titled A Lighthearted Sasquatch Story. Hey there, Steve. In this current COVID world, telecommuting and web meetings, I've really enjoyed your videos, whether they were your own hunting videos or sharing stories sent in from other listeners. Keep up the good work. All right, now Will, and thank you for the kind words. I'm sharing this story in a lighthearted spirit, and I don't mean to belittle anyone else's experiences or feelings at all. I've always thought of myself as a pragmatic person and strive to keep an open mind on any topic. I've been blessed with very supportive and loving family members, including my grandparents. And since I was a baby, I've been lucky to have my grandparents in my life and have been able to keep a close relationship with them to this day. And one day, several years ago, my grandma and I were sitting on the couch talking. We've always been very open with each other and have talked about just about every topic under the sun. So, when my grandma suddenly changed the topic of conversation and asked me if I believed in Yetis, it didn't come as much of a surprise. You mean like Sasquatch, right? I said. Yeah, she said. Sure. I've never seen one, but it wouldn't surprise me at all, I answered. And she leaned closer to me, looking me sternly in the eyes, and, while pointing over my shoulder, said, I believe. I turned my head to see my 80-year-old grandpa, stark naked, hobbling along from the bathroom to the bedroom. With the white hair covering his woolly body, he looked akin to the Bumble from the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer show from the 60s. I'll never be able to unsee that, no doubt. My grandma has always had a sharp sense of humor, and we've all enjoyed a good laugh with her around. She's a lover of all animals, while she's always a supporter of our family's outdoor lifestyle through hunting and fishing. She's always helped us to appreciate the fact that those animals gave their lives to sustain ours. What a blessing she has been in our family. Normally, I wouldn't mind you sharing my name, but my grandparents don't need any added attention to their lives. Take care, friend. All right. Appreciate that. And your man Squatch grandfather. Good one. All right, so I think that's all I can do right now because I am struggling, and I want to hopefully find some of my clips from my other SD cards and show you guys what we saw today a little bit if I can. We'll see. I might have to wait till tomorrow, maybe. It all depends because I have to crack open another app on my phone that hooks up to the 360 camera. and then edit that onto my phone, and then put it to Dropbox, then Dropbox to the computer to the iMovie app. I don't have it in me right now. But anyway, there we go. Congratulations to our trail camera winner for last Friday's draw. What day is it today? Sunday? And I have to go and be back on the water for Tuesday night. And you'll see, and I got my mount to mount my Starlink firmly on the boat. I got that in the mail. It's here, so I can do that. And I'm going to try to do live fishing again soon. All right, there we go. I'm sure I'm missing something. I had so far I'm totally behind, but I had a text from the man who filmed the 5 forest people in the meadow. He texted me. We're gonna make it messed up. Haven't texted him back yet. Just got it. John Blatt, you still listening, my man? A man, I believe he was picked up by the Sasquatch years ago. Picked up as a boy. And he's got a lot to share. He emailed me. He wants to get on here with us. And I haven't emailed him back yet either. I just cracked this open a few minutes ago. And also, Mike the Rancher emailed me too. Mike, I hope you're still listening when you get a chance. He's busier than shit with his ranch, and I'm busier than shit, but he said that he really wants to get on here and speak as well. So there you go. They might even hear this before I text back or email back. But I'll be getting those guys on here eventually, but quickly, all right? Share my story at howtohunt.com. It's working again. So if you emailed me in the past week and it didn't get through, it got through now, I believe. And keep emailing your truth into me, all right? What else? I think that's about it. I think that's about it for now. And tomorrow I should be back and be more alive, and we'll get a full, solid run of hearing all of you speak your truth to the people in the world, all right? There you go. I'll be back tomorrow. Ruby, come. Uh-oh. You good?